In Chapter 3 of Laura's story, Laura Beauparlant, an 18-year-old injured by a drunk driver, discusses the limits that she's told she's going to have to face and the critical role that her medical team, friends, and family played as she began her journey towards recovery. Because you talk about
Sure.
when someone tells you that, hey, listen, your prospects of recovery are limited to, and you won't be able, don't count on being able to do A, B, C, and D. And your reaction is to say, okay, take that as a challenge, which is noble and incredible. But when you actually start the process, when you have to first try and get out of bed and try and walk and try and do all the little things that were taken for granted, and it forever, and it's painful and it's slow, and you don't have your balance. What role did the care team around you play in, either helping you or I guess what role did they play in helping you persevere?
Yeah, because there's some of it comes from inside, but if you don't have some of that external support too, it can be really easy to just succumb to the darkness and the depression. And I had all of those things. I may have a sunny outlook today, but there were definitely dark times. My mom stopped working so she could take care of me. I had to move back home with my parents. She was part-time teaching, but she's like, I need to be home for Laura. She was driving me to physiotherapy, basically 5 days a week. I had an amazing physiotherapist. My family doctor, as I mentioned, was, making house calls. She's like, it was winter. She knew that there was no way I'd be able to come in to her office for a few reasons. And so she would come to my house on her lunch breaks. She would visit me in the hospital to check on my mental health. She used techniques on me that had been, her husband was a psychiatrist. So she'd learned some techniques that she then used on me that were transformative. So it was, and then of course, Dr. Creeder and caring about my health and mentally, physically. So I had this huge team, both and friends, while I did struggle in some ways with losing friends who couldn't kind of handle it, as I say. I had others that would push me. They would like, okay, Laura, we're taking you to the movies tonight. We got to get you out of this house. You're getting kind of boring. You got nothing else to talk about. You need some new things. So I had some great friends. Of course, we're 18, 19 years old, right? So I had the friend component who were like really there for me. I had the doctors and the other psychiatrist and my family doctor, physiotherapy, my mom, my family, all of these people kind of really came together to be this team that's my cheerleaders and support people.
And so how long did Dr. Creeder and his team follow you? Because people think, I think the perception is you have an accident, you go in, you have this incredible surgery, and it's kind of like a conveyor belt. Then you move on through the system, through other levels of care. But you had mentioned that Dr. Creeder took a special interest in your case and I think stayed with you for a period of time, no?
Yeah, I mean, other than the initial surgery to put me in traction and that, he performed all of the other 8 surgeries that I had over that next year and a half. So, and then I've gone in for checkups over the years, x-rays, because, they also thought that I would probably need a knee replacement by the time I was in my 40s, based on the state of my, my knee at the time. And the last time I saw him, he said, you're probably just as likely to need one in your other knee as you are in this one because of, how strong I've kept it and active. So, we mostly message each other for social reasons, not medical reasons. But, I do see him periodically for just the checkup, x-rays, just to see the state of things.
So how, one thing I read in your bio that I thought was really beautiful, quite frankly, was you commented about how your scars are not something to be ashamed of or to hide, or that you embrace them.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful sentiment. And I wonder how this whole experience, do you feel, well, you must have an opinion how this experience has changed your perspective on life and your perspective on people and your perspective on health. I mean, can you share any of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I almost died. And at the time, and I've shared the story many times, that I was feeling pretty miserable and sorry for myself. I was heading back to pull an all-nighter on a project I didn't want to do for a teacher I didn't really like very much. I'd been procrastinating, as a typical kid. And bam, I almost die. And I spent so much time thinking, wow, if I had died, I would have died miserable. And that would have been the biggest tragedy of all.
ORTHOLINK connects the work of the Canadian Orthopedic Foundation to those we serve. To learn more about how your support is impacting lives, go to movepainfree.org. That's movepainfree.org.